Welcome to The Deep Dive. We're the show that digs into the research and pulls out the insights you can actually use. Today, we're tackling something that honestly feels a bit like magic. You've probably seen people do incredible memory feats, right? And you might think, wow, I could never do that. But we're here to tell you. Maybe you can. We're diving into unlocking your own memory superpowers.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. Those memory champions memorizing, hundreds of digits, decks of cards in seconds. It looks superhuman. But the secret is, it's mostly skill. It's technique.
That's what we're digging into today, the world of mnemonics.
Exactly. We've pulled together insights from memory experts, actual world champions, and even some really cool neuroscience research. The goal isn't just to list techniques, it's to understand how they work deep down, and, crucially, how you can use them. For anything, really. Languages, study material, names.
Think of this as your practical guide, your shortcut to building a seriously impressive memory. So first things first, we'll break down what mnemonic device even means and how it's different from a strategy.
Right, that distinction is key.
Then we'll jump into the big guns, the techniques the pros use. Prepare for some, aha moments, I think. Your brain's pretty amazing.
It really is.
Okay, let's unpack that first point. Mnemonic device versus mnemonic strategy. What's the actual difference there? Because it sounds like maybe one's the tool and the other's how you use it.
That's basically it, yeah. A mnemonic device is the specific tool. Think flashcards or maybe a rhyme or even something complex like a memory palace. It's the concrete thing you create or use.
Like ROYGBIV for the rainbow colors. That's a device.
Exactly. That's a classic acronym, mnemonic device. Now, a mnemonic strategy, that's bigger picture. It's the overall plan. It's how you decide to learn. It's about integrating these devices effectively. So maybe your strategy involves using flashcards with spaced repetition and active recall. That's the strategic approach.
Gotcha. So the strategy is the how and when, and the device is the what.
Precisely. And this isn't some new fad, right? These ideas have been around for ages.
Oh, yeah. How far back are we talking?
We're talking ancient Greece. Often it's traced back to a poet named Simonides around, 447 BC. The story goes he used spatial memory to identify bodies after a building collapse.
Wow. Okay, so definitely not new.
Not at all. And it's not just for, weird memory contests. Mnemonics are incredibly useful for everyday learning, remembering big chunks of info, sequences like the alphabet song, even abstract stuff like math formulas or foreign vocab.
I definitely used rhymes and acronyms in school. They just stick somehow.
They do, and there's research backing this up. Studies show that using mnemonic techniques consistently can improve your learning and recall by 20%.
20%? That's actually quite a lot. That's significant.
It really is. It's a real boost, not just a marginal gain.
Okay, so let's get into the techniques themselves, the ones the memory athletes really rely on. Top of the list has to be the memory palace, right? Or the Method of Loci.
Absolutely. That's the cornerstone for many, many champions. It's often called the ultimate mnemonic device. The basic idea is you use a place you know really well, like your house, or the walk to work as a mental filing system.
Okay.
You mentally place the things you want to remember along specific points or loci on that familiar route. Then, to recall everything, you just mentally walk through your palace.
That sounds almost intuitive, like using landmarks.
Yeah.
But why does it work so well? What's happening in the brain?
Well, what's fascinating here is how it taps directly into our brain's natural strengths. We have this incredibly powerful built-in system for visual and spatial information.
Like navigation.
Exactly. Think about our ancestors. Remembering where the food was, where dangers lurked, that was survival. So our brains became highly optimized for remembering places and routes. The hippocampus, a key brain area for memory, is also critical for spatial navigation. They're deeply linked. So the memory palace leverages that. It uses what's called elaborative encoding, making information meaningful, connecting it visually and spatially. And there's something called dual coding theory. Basically, by creating a strong visual image and linking it to a location, you create two retrieval paths in your brain, visual and spatial. It makes the memory much stronger.
So you're giving your brain more ways to find the information later.
You got it. You're turning abstract stuff into concrete images in specific places.
Okay, let's make it real. Walk me through an example. Say, my house. How would I use it?
All right, let's try memorizing the first 5 planets. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter. We'll use a route from your bedroom to your kitchen. Picture your bedroom now.
Okay, got it. My bed.
Good. First locus.
Yeah.
Your bed. Imagine a huge, old-fashioned thermometer full of shiny mercury suddenly shattering all over your pillows. Really see the silver liquid, maybe feel how surprisingly heavy it is.
Okay, memorable, though. Mercury on the bed.
Next locus,
Yeah.
or bedroom door. As you try to leave, there's a giant, beautiful marble statue of the goddess Venus completely blocking the doorway. You have to squeeze past it, feel the cold stone.
Okay, Venus blocking the door. Got it.
Right. Now, head to the bathroom sink, third locus. Imagine the sink is clogged with a spinning globe, covered in mud and dirt, real earth. Maybe you can smell the damp soil.
Nice. Earth in the sink.
Fourth locus. Let's say the top of your stairs. Picture the Roman god of war, Mars, standing there. He's furiously smashing a Mars bar onto the top step with a big hammer. Hear the crunch.
Okay. Mars bar on the stairs. This is surprisingly vivid.
That's the key. Vivid, unusual, multisensory. The more senses you engage, the better. Finally, fifth locus, your kitchen refrigerator. You open the door, and instead of milk, the giant stormy planet Jupiter is crammed inside, its great red spot swirling ominously. Feel the cold wind rush out.
Jupiter in the fridge. Okay, I think I had that. Let me try. Bed, mercury thermometer, door, Venus statue, sink, muddy earth globe, stairs, Mars smashing a Mars bar, fridge, Jupiter.
See, it sticks because it uses locations, intimately, and images that are bizarre and engaging.
That is really effective. And the pros, they take this way further, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Memory champions might have palaces with hundreds, even thousands of locations. People like Clemens Mayer used journeys with 300 points. Someone even memorized pi to over 65,000 digits using this.
65,000. That's just mind-boggling.
It is. And for practical use, you can build huge mental structures. Imagine a medical student creating a hospital palace with different wings for different systems, anatomy wing, pharmacology wing, and rooms within for specific topics, each filled with loci for facts. It's incredibly scalable.
A whole architecture for knowledge.
Right.
Amazing. Okay, so the memory palace is huge. What's another core technique people should know about?
Another really fundamental one is the PEG system. This is less about places and more about, mental hooks. Yeah. You pre-memorize a list of concrete objects, your pegs, that are permanently linked to numbers. Then you hang new information onto these pegs by creating a vivid image connecting the peg object to the new item.
Okay, so if I need to remember a shopping list, and item 1 is milk, what's the peg for 1?
A really common, simple version uses rhymes. So, 1 is sun, 2 is shoe, 3 is tree, 4 is door, 5 is hive, 6 is sticks, 7 is heaven, 8 is gate, 9 is vine, 10 is hen.
1 is sun. So for milk, I'd picture the sun maybe melting into milk or pouring milk.
Exactly. Picture the hot sun dripping milk all over. For item 2, say bread, you'd link it to shoe. Maybe imagine stepping in a giant loaf of bread instead of putting on your shoe.
Okay, so you link the fixed peg word to the new item with a crazy image. That works for shorter lists. But what about long numbers, like phone numbers or historical dates?
Right. For longer sequences, especially numbers, you often move to a more advanced peg system. The most famous is probably the major system.
The major system. Okay, how does that work?
Here's where it gets really interesting and maybe a little more complex initially. The major system turns numbers into consonant sounds.
Numbers into sounds.
Yeah. Each digit from 0 to 9 gets assigned a specific consonant sound or sounds. For example, 1 is the T or D sound, 2 is the N sound, 3 is the M sound, 7 is K or hard G, and so on. Vowels and sounds like W, H, Y are ignored. They're like freebies you use to make words.
Okay, so if I have the number 33, that's M and M, I can make the word mom.
Precisely. Or mime, or maybe memo. And the number 71, that's K sound and TD sound, could be cat, or cut, or kite.
Wow, so you're turning abstract digits into concrete words, which you can then visualize.
Exactly. You create an image for mom or cat. This system lets you create unique pegs for potentially thousands of numbers, making it super powerful for long sequences.
That's clever, turning numbers into stories, almost. And I heard there's even another layer to this, PAO.
Yes. The PAO system, person action object. This is a favorite for things like memorizing decks of cards really fast. It's super efficient. You assign a unique person, a unique action, and a unique object to every number, usually from 00 to 99.
Okay.
Then, to remember a sequence of, say, 6 digits, you combine them. You take the person associated with the first 2 digits, the action from the next 2, and the object from the last 2. Smash them together into one crazy image.
Whoa. Give me an example.
Okay, let's say for you, the number 34 is always Frank Sinatra, person, and maybe 13 is always the action kicking, and 79 is always a cape object.
Okay. Frank Sinatra, kicking cape.
Right. So if you need to remember the number 341379, your image is simply Frank Sinatra kicking a cape.
Frank Sinatra kicking a cape. That's unforgettable.
Yeah.
And bizarre.
Bizarre is good. It makes it stick. It packs 6 digits into one single vivid mental scene. Very efficient.
Amazing. Okay, so memory palace, peg system, major system, PAO. Those are the big ones. Are there other, maybe simpler mnemonics people use?
Oh, loads. Many are things you probably use without even thinking of them as mnemonics, like musical mnemonics, the alphabet song, right?
Right.
Or advertising jingles you just can't forget. Music taps into emotion and rhythm, embedding things really deeply.
Yeah, those jingles are dangerous. And what about rhymes? Like I before E except after C.
Classic rhyme mnemonic. Or 30 days half September, super common, super effective.
And acronyms, like we mentioned, ROYGBIV. Or Homes for the Great Lakes.
Yep. And acrostics, where the first letter of each word in a sentence gives you what you need to remember, like, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally for the order of operations in math.
Parentheses, exponents.
Right.
I remember that one too.
Then there's the keyword method, really good for languages. You find an English word that sounds like the foreign word and link them with an image. Like for gato, Spanish for cat, the keyword might be gate. So you picture a cat sitting on top of a gate. Connects the sound to the meaning visually.
That's really practical for vocab.
Very. There are also spelling mnemonics. A rat in the house may eat the ice cream, help spell arithmetic. Or even simple alliteration like sophisticated Sylvie to remember a name. Lots of tools in the box.
It really is a whole toolbox. So we know these techniques work, but what's actually changing in our brains when we practice this stuff? Does building a memory palace literally rewire things?
That's where the neuroscience gets really exciting. Recent studies show something pretty profound. It's not that memory champions are born with structurally different brains necessarily.
No.
Not usually. Instead, the big difference seems to be in functional connectivity. Basically, how efficiently different parts of their brains talk to each other and work together.
So it's more about the wiring and the communication network than the size of the parts.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. If we connect this to the bigger picture, research shows that just 6 weeks of dedicated mnemonic training, specifically using the method of loci, can actually change your brain's network patterns to look more like those of memory athletes.
Wait, really? You can train your brain to rewire itself like that?
Yes. It's not just learning a trick, it seems to be genuinely optimizing the underlying neural communication. And these changes seem to last. It strongly suggests that memory is far more trainable than many people assume. You're literally building better pathways.
That is incredible. Are there specific brain areas that become better connected?
Yeah, they've identified a few key players that show changes in connectivity. The medial temporal lobe, including the hippocampus, that makes sense, given its role in memory and spatial navigation. Also, the retrosplenial cortex, which is also linked to memory and navigation.
Okay.
And then areas in the prefrontal cortex seem important. The right dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, DLPFC, acts like a hub, becoming more active when you're strategically encoding information, especially visually and spatially. And the medial prefrontal cortex, MPFC, seems involved in using existing knowledge structures or schemas to integrate new information faster. Mnemonics basically give you ready-made schemas.
So multiple areas start working together more efficiently, like an orchestra getting better at playing in sync.
That's a great analogy. And interestingly, they found how they connect changes depending on what you're doing. During rest periods between learning sessions, the improved connections happen more between different major brain networks. But during the act of using the mnemonic, the improved connections happen more within the specific networks involved in the task.
Fascinating. And these aren't just temporary boosts.
The studies suggest they are potent and enduring. Improvements in memory performance and these brain connectivity patterns were seen to persist for at least 4 months after the training stopped.
4 months. Wow.
Yeah. It really drives home the point. Memory isn't fixed. It's a skill. You can train it, improve it, reshape how your brain handles information.
Okay, this is all super motivating. It means you don't have to be a natural to have an incredible memory. So for someone listening right now wanting to start, how do they actually put this into practice effectively?
Right, the practical side. Well, memory expert Anthony Metivier has some great advice, sort of boiled down into 5 key strategies for success.
Let's hear them.
First, do your research. There are different systems, different trainers. Find one that actually fits what you want to achieve. Learning a language is different from competing in memory sports, right? Tailor the approach.
Makes sense. Don't just grab the first thing you see. What's number 2?
Second, stick with the program. This is crucial. Lots of people get excited, start strong, then fizzle out. You need commitment. Studies on habit formation suggest aiming for at least 90 days of consistent practice to really make it stick.
90 days. Okay, that's a real commitment, but underlines that it's about building a habit, not just a quick fix.
Exactly. Third, have a clear vision. Know why you're doing this and what success looks like for you. Metivier gives his own example. He needed to learn functional Mandarin in under 3 months to teach in China. His vision wasn't fluency, it was specific. 300 to 500 words, basic conversation. That clarity focused his efforts.
Be specific and realistic. Got it. Number 4.
Practice frequently. Non-negotiable. Look for opportunities everywhere, even doing chores like washing dishes. Metivier actually shows himself practicing while doing just that. Integrate it. Make it part of your routine. The more you use it, the more automatic it becomes.
Find those pockets of time. Love it. And the last one.
Fifth, let go of the outcome. This sounds weird, maybe, but it's powerful. Don't get hung up on perfection or frustrated by mistakes. Allow yourself to mess up. Focus on the process of using the techniques. Analyze what didn't work, adjust, but don't beat yourself up. Try to find that flow state where it's engaging, not stressful.
Focus on the journey, not just the destination. That's great advice for almost anything, really.
It really is. It takes the pressure off and often leads to better results long term.
Wow. What an incredible deep dive this has been. We started with those seemingly impossible memory feats, unpacked what mnemonics really are, devices, versus strategies, explored powerful tools like the Memory Palace and the PEG system.
Yeah, and we saw how these aren't just tricks. They tap into fundamental ways our brains work. And the neuroscience showing we can actually reshape our brain networks through practice. That's just amazing.
But it completely reframes memory, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not something you just have, it's something you can actively build.
Absolutely. Think of your memory like a landscape you can explore, map out, or a palace you can furnish and expand over your entire life. It's a skill, a capacity you can grow.
So the challenge to you, listening right now, is maybe just start small. Pick one technique. Try building one small memory palace for something simple. Embrace the weirdness. Make those images vivid. Use your senses.
You might genuinely surprise yourself. Your brain is capable of more than you probably think.
Which leads to a great final thought.
Yeah, this raises an important question. What fascinating piece of information will you choose to furnish your memory palace with first?
Something to think about. We hope you'll keep exploring, keep learning. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive, and enjoy that finer journey of your mental life.